Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me. Violetta, can you confirm you can okay, see everything and hear everything? Welcome to this webinar. My name is Federica Vitale, and I work at the Eureka Secretariat. I am here with my colleagues, Frederic Buige from the communication team, who is here to provide some technical assistance in case you experience any technical difficulties. And with my colleague, Violeta Walendowska from the Eurostars team, she will help me with questions at the end of the webinar. We have organized this webinar because tomorrow is the day when Eurostars 3 launches the third call of the program. So starting from tomorrow, you can already complete your applications online and you can also submit them. So we hope to provide you with this webinar with the most important information that you need to know during the application process to make sure that you know everything and that you apply successfully. So the webinar is recorded and at the end you will receive a recording of the webinar in case you want to watch it again. You will most likely receive it tomorrow, so not today immediately, but tomorrow. And I will use some slides during this webinar, which will be also published on the website. So you can download them from the website if you need them. And on the website, we're also going to publish the webinar itself. The webinar will be divided into two parts. So I will start by presenting some main concepts that you need to know for applying successfully. This will last approximately 45 minutes, and then we will dedicate the last 15 to 10 minutes to your questions. So if you have any questions, you can ask directly. If you see on your screen, there is a questions tab. That is the tab where you should ask your questions. So please use the questions tab for questions. And if you have any technical difficulties, if you need help, you can use the chat. There is also a chat tab, but questions in the questions tab. I think I have not forgotten anything, so we can start. I hope you can see my slides well. So here is just an overview of the application process, very simple. So tomorrow, 13th of July, we open the call. So you can start already completing your applications and submitting them. You have 2 months of time to submit your applications until the 15th of September at 2 p.m. The slides didn't move. Frederic, I don't know if you can see my slides moving. Let me check if somebody wrote. Can somebody write in the chat if you can see the slides moving, please? Let me share them again. Not moving? Okay, always the same slide. Thank you very much. Let me see how to fix this. Maybe I can try to share again the screen. And they don't. Oh, okay, now they move. Perfect. So here, 13th of July, so tomorrow we open the call. You have 2 months to apply until the 15th of September at 2 p.m. Brussels time. So that is the time when you need to submit your applications, by which you need to submit the applications. Make sure that you start very early and that you submit within the deadline, because we don't, of course, accept any applications received after the deadline. Then, first of all, a very quick overview about Eurostars, why you should apply for this program. What do Eurostars project look like? So Eurostars projects must be collaborative and international. So this is really the basis. There must be at least 2 partners in a project from 2 different countries. So we don't fund single beneficiaries projects. They really must be collaborative and international. What is great about Eurostars 3 is that you can innovate in any technology and market area. So you're really free to develop any innovation you want. And the projects must be market driven. So you need to develop a new innovation, which can be a new product, a new process, or a new service, with the intention to commercialize them rapidly after the project has ended. In case of biotechnology, biomedical, or medical projects, for which the road to market is quite long, it's also clinical trials, not necessarily commercialization, that should start rapidly after the projects have ended. And to give you just an indication, a better indication of the type of projects that we fund and the level of development, consider that Eurostars projects are in between a TRL 3, 4 as initial level and a TRL 6 at least at the end of the project. So it can be up to 6 or 7. That's more or less what we fund. So essentially they must be market driven. We fund close to market research. So after the end of the project, you need to start, you must be in such a stage that you can plan to start commercialization or clinical trials quite rapidly. In Eurostars project, there must be, as I said before, a minimum of 2 participants. There is not a maximum, but on average, Eurostars projects have between 3 and 4 participants. It can be more, of course. This is just the average. And to give you a concrete idea of the size of a Eurostars project, here you have the average total cost of a Eurostars project, which is 1.4 million euros. What is great about the program is that it is really open to all types of organizations. SMEs, innovative SMEs are the target of the program. You are the protagonist, but SMEs can partner with any type of organizations that are really no restrictions. So they can be large companies, research institutes, universities, and so on and so forth. And also you can participate as a partner in a Eurostars project, whether you are based either if you are based in a Eurostars countries or not, in a Eurostars country or not. So Eurostars is a program co-funded by the European Commission and 37 countries. Here you have the list of all 37 countries. So you can participate if you are based in one of them, but also if you are not based in one of these countries. So you can have literally project partners from all over the world. If for them, as I will explain better later on, the participation would be entirely on a self-funding basis, but they can still be parts of a project. Also, as you can see here, most of the, if you take a quick look at the list of Eurostars countries, you can see that most of them are European countries. But not only, we also have Canada, we have Israel, South Korea, South Africa, Singapore. So it's really a program that spans across different continents. Very important for you to understand are the eligibility criteria. One condition for your project to be successful is that it must meet 7 eligibility criteria. So what are these about? The first criterion states that your consortium must be led by an innovative SME from a Eurostars country. So one of the 37 Eurostars countries that we saw before. And what is an innovative SME? So the definition of innovative SME is simple and it's quite broad, because we considered as an innovative SME a company that, first of all, complies with the definition of SME as laid out in the EU law, in particular EU Recommendation 2003/361. And then to be considered as innovative, an SME simply needs to have the ambition to collaborate on R&D and innovation in an international project, and so with international partners. So it's really a broad definition that includes all types of SMEs, and we don't ask you to show that you have a proven track record of R&D activities to be considered as innovative. Really, your ambition is what matters. With regards to the definition of SME that is laid out in the EU recommendation, here you have a quick overview. Essentially, we consider three factors that determine whether a company complies with the definition or not, and they are staff head count, annual turnover, and balance sheet total. So to be considered as a small and medium-sized company, you need to employ less than 250 people. And you need to have either an annual turnover that does not exceed 50 million euros or a balance sheet total that does not exceed 43 million euros. So this is the general definition. On this slide, I have included a link to the user guide to the SME definition, which is published on the website of the European Commission. And I strongly encourage you, I strongly recommend you to read this user guide, because you can see how you should, so what type of data you need to consider in order to check whether you are actually an SME or not. Also, because if you are part of a larger group of companies, if you have, for example, partner, or you are a partner company or a linked company, you may need to consider in the calculation also staff head count and financial data concerning the other companies as well. So the user guide is really a great help to understand. Let's move to the next criterion, which states that the consortium must include at least two entities that are independent of one another, so two separate legal entities. And then the third criterion states that the project consortium must include at least two Eurostars countries, and at least one of them must also be either an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. Now, for this call, for call 3, consider that all the Eurostars countries are EU member states or associated to Horizon Europe, except for Canada, Republic of Korea, Singapore, South Africa, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom. So what does this mean in practice? That if you are from one of these 6 countries, so Canada, South Korea, Singapore, South Africa, Switzerland, and the United Kingdom, you need, for your consortium to meet the third criterion, you need at least one partner that is from one of the other 31 Eurostars countries, okay? So a Eurostars country that is also either a new member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. The next criterion states that the budget of the SMEs from Eurostars countries, excluding any subcontracting costs foreseen for these SMEs, must equal at least 50% of the total project budget. So to make sure that you comply with this criterion, you need to consider only the SMEs in the consortium that are based in Eurostars countries. Then you combine their budget, you subtract any subcontracting cost foreseen for these SMEs, and then you check whether the total corresponds to at least 50% of the total project cost. Next criterion, no single participant or country can be responsible for more than 70% of the total project budget. So in this case, what you need to consider is not only the individual budget of each participant, which cannot exceed 70% of the total project cost or project budget, but also if there are partners from the same country, you need to consider their budgets combined. So for example, if there is a project with 2 Italian partners and one from the UK, let's say, you need to consider also the budget combined of the 2 Italian partners. The sum cannot exceed 70% of the total project budget. Then next criterion, the project can last up to 36 months. So it can be 36 months or less. It cannot exceed 36 months. And then finally, the project must have an exclusively civilian purpose. Now, this doesn't mean that your project cannot involve a military partner or that you cannot develop a dual-use technology. You can do both, but what matters is that the project has an exclusive focus on civilian applications. So the purpose of the project must be civilian. Let's move on. No, actually, one last information about eligibility criteria. Your project must comply with the eligibility criteria from the moment when you submit your application until when you sign the consortium agreement, which happens if your project is successful around 5 to 6 months after the application deadline. So what does this mean? That if there is any change in your situation that may affect the eligibility of your project, you are under an obligation to let us know, because eventually we need to check whether your project is still eligible or not. For example, what could happen, this is only one example. It could happen that one of the partners that declared themselves as SMEs in the consortium loses their SME status during the evaluation process, and therefore we need to check again whether the criterion related to the budget, remember 50% of the budget must be allocated to the SMEs, if it is still valid, if you still comply with that criterion. So this is only an example, but if there is any change, you must let us know. Let's move to funding. So funding, as I mentioned previously at the beginning, a Eurostars project can include both organizations that are based in Eurostars countries and organizations that are not based in Eurostars countries. There is a difference between these two types of organizations with regards to funding, because only if you are based in a Eurostars country, you may receive Eurostars public funding. If you are not based in a Eurostars country, you can participate, but on a self-funding basis. So this means that you need to self-fund your entire project cost. And you will be asked to provide a self-funding declaration where you declare that you are willing and able to do that. For the organizations that can receive funding that are based in Eurostars countries, there are a couple of things that that you need to understand about funding. First of all, that funding in Eurostars is decentralized. So this means that if a project is approved for funding, each partner in the consortium will receive funding from their own country. So in Eurostars, in each Eurostars country, there is a national funding body, which is a public authority that can be a ministry or an agency that is responsible for managing Eurostars funding at national level. And so if we have a consortium with an Italian participant and a South Korean participant, both will receive funding. So one from Italy, the Italian partner from Italy, the South Korean partner from the Republic of Korea. And it's important that you understand that each country has its own funding rules. So each national funding body decides which type of organizations can be funded, which type of project activities can be funded, and funding rates and thresholds. So funding rules are different, and before you apply, so they are different from country to country. So before you apply, you need to be aware, each project partner needs to be aware of the funding rules in their country. As you may have also assumed from what I said, funding rates, thresholds. So Eurostars funding will not cover all your project costs. Part of the cost will be covered by Eurostars, part of the cost will have to be covered by the participants themselves. So really make sure that that you know funding rules, and you can find information about this on Eureka's website, but especially check the website of your national funding body, and you can contact your national funding body in case you need any information, in case you have any questions. I can already say that for call 3, unfortunately, Eurostars funding is not available for organizations applying from the Czech Republic, from Germany and Israel. One important topic that you need to be aware of is the legal and financial viability check. This is a check that is an integral part of the evaluation process. It is performed by the national funding bodies on the partners that apply from their country. And it is important for you to understand how this works, because if just one partner does not pass this check, the entire application is rejected. Now, the check is meant to verify that each partner fulfills a set of requirements. The first one is that the organization, the partner, has provided a valid commitment and signature form as part of the application form. The commitment and signature form is a legal document that every partner must submit as part of the application form, and it lists a series of conditions. It's a declaration that you do, and essentially, to be valid, it must be signed by a person who can act as the legal representative of your organization. So this person must have all the authorizations to act as a legal representative. It cannot be signed by anybody. And it is important that you prepare the commitment and signature form well in advance in the application process, as soon as you start writing your application, because it can take some time for some organization to have this document signed by a legal representative. I'm thinking mainly about big organizations like universities, for example. So think about it well in advance. And the second criterion, the second requirement that is checked is whether the organization that has declared itself an SME actually complies with the definition of SME. You will be asked also to provide an SME declaration, which is a document where you provide your financial data and information on any other organizations you may be related to. And so this will be used also by the national funding bodies to verify whether you are an SME or not. Make sure that you complete it correctly, and make sure that you understand the EU definition of SME. A third requirement that is checked is that your organization is a legal entity in the host country, that your organization has not been convicted for fraudulent behavior. Then, if your organization is located in the EU or in the European Economic Area, they will check that it is not undertaking in difficulty based on EU law, or if it is located elsewhere, that it is not in a difficult financial situation that would render it ineligible for funding according to national regulations. They will also check whether your organization can receive Eurostars funding based on national funding rules. When your organization cannot receive Eurostars funding, the NFB, your national funding body, will inform you, and you will still be able to participate in a project, but only on a self-funding basis. So they will ask you whether you want to participate by self-funding your entire project cost, and in that case, you will need to provide a self-funding declaration. So one important thing to say is remember that during the legal and financial viability check, but during the evaluation process in general, you may be contacted by us, by the national funding bodies, for additional information, for additional documents that we need to perform some checks, to perform some evaluations. So make sure that you are available. Always available during this time. Also, the self-funding declaration will have to be provided within a set deadline, so really be available. Then finally, they will check whether your organization has the financial capacity to support the part of the project cost that it is not covered by the Eurostars funding. So they will perform an assessment of your financial capacity that is based on national criteria. So if you want to know more about them, you should check the website of your national funding bodies or get in touch with them. Let's move to the next topic, which is the application form. I am not going to explain in the details the different sections of the application form, but you should just know that compared to Eurostars 2, which was the previous edition of the program, now in Eurostars 3 we have a streamlined application form that includes 5 sections. And there are some, so the application form is collaborative, so all the partners can complete it together. And as I will show you a bit better later, there are some sections of the application form that are specific to each partner. So really each one of the partners need to complete together the application form. And the SME declaration and the commitment and signature form are part of the application form. So make sure that these 2 documents, that you prepare them well in advance. You will have the possibility to upload in the application form optional annexes, which can be a Gantt chart and the technical annex. And on the technical annex, just something to stress, use the technical annex only as something that supports the information that is already in the application form. So the application form and the information in the application form is must already be comprehensive. An expert must understand everything about your project only by looking at the application form. The technical annex, you really need to use it as a supportive document. Sometimes we have applicants who upload an annex that is 60 pages or 40 pages. That's really something that you should avoid. Experts have a limited time to assess each application. You really need to make their job easier and make sure that all the essential information is already in the body of the application form. But you are of course encouraged to upload a Gantt chart or a technical annex if that can help the expert understand your project. And last but not least, in the application form of Eurostars 3, so compared to what we were using in the past, now we also ask you about 2 new topics. There are new questions related to the SDGs, so the Sustainable Development Goals. We ask you whether your projects may have a contribution to the SDGs, and we ask you to talk about how you have integrated the gender dimension into the scientific method that you are going to adopt in your project. So the gender dimension, this expression was coined by the European Commission, and it refers to the integration of sex, gender, and intersectional analysis in the technical approach. Also, when you have not integrated the gender dimension in your technical approach, you still need to explain why the gender dimension is not relevant for the R&I, the R&D content of your project. So it's important that you understand these topics. And here on these slides, just for you to get familiar with these topics, I have included some useful resources that you can read. Recommendations about the application form. The only way to submit an application is by using the Eureka project management platform. So you can only submit an online application form. I will show you the platform very soon. On Eureka's website, you can also find a Word version of the application that you can use to work offline. However, extremely important, I really recommend you to use the offline, I mean the Word version, as little as possible, and to start working on the platform since an early stage in the application process, because you need to familiarize yourselves, so all the partners in the consortium, to how the platform works, and that will really avoid the stress that some applicants experience in the last few days of the application process, because if you start on the last few days to use the platform, that's going to be very stressful. So start from the beginning to avoid any delays and any problem. Also, if you need technical assistance, consider that we need some days, a couple of days to reply to you. So allow yourself plenty of time to work on your online application form. And now let's move to the project platform. Main features of the platform, so that you don't spend too much time understanding how it works. There are, however, some guidelines also on the on Eureka's website that you can check. So this is the link to the platform. Here you have the login page, the home page. To find the Eurostars call, you need to click on project management platform that is just on the black bar on top. Many times applicants don't click there. I can understand it's not very intuitive. So just for you to know, you can see the call if you click on project management platform on the black bar on top. So you will see the Eurostars 3 call. If you click on it, you will have all the information about the call. And to start an application, you need to click on the green button, Start New Application. Only the leader SME, only an SME can start a new application, because only SMEs can be the leader of the project. So they are responsible, let's say, for the application form. So if you are a large company, a university, any other type of organization, you cannot start a new application. So first, the innovative SME that leads the project starts the application, and then it's the innovative SME that invites the other partners to join the application form. So once you start a new application, you will have the application overview. Your application will be given a number, which you can see here on top. You will see when is the deadline. You will can also check progress in completing your application form if you see this bar, this gray bar here. And then you have all the questions. How to invite your partners. You need to click on application team, so just the first link, and from there you can add either a partner organization. This is something that only the main partner of the project can do, but you can also add a person to one organization, meaning that if you are if you are an SME and there are 2-3 colleagues, even more, who want to all work on the application form together, they can all be invited, they can all join. And the same company can invite its own colleagues. They will receive just an invitation by email, and then they need to fill in their contact information, and then they can join. One important thing, when you register, when you join an application, provide already all the correct information regarding your company, regarding your organization. So let's say if you don't remember at that moment what is your VAT number, what is your registration number, it's better to go and check it and then write the correct number than to type a random number just to register. Why? Because then you cannot correct it by yourself. You need to contact us. So you can only update your name, your surname, but for other things you need to contact us. So try to really insert the correct information from the start. Can you still see the yes, okay, the slides. Then the platform is collaborative. The application form is collaborative. As I said before, all the partners can complete the application together. And it is the main partner who assigns, who can assign any section to any partner to complete. Next to each question, you will see that there is a link assigned to you. This is because by default, a section is assigned to the main partner. But then if you click there, you can assign it to anybody else. In each section, the platform will provide you with some instructions, with some guidance on what you should include in that section, in that answer. That makes the platform quite useful, quite helpful. At the same time, on Eureka's website, we have guidelines on how to complete an application form, and it is important that you read these guidelines, that you keep a copy next to you when you complete the application form, because the guidelines they provide more information, so they are more helpful. And on Eureka's website, you can also find the guidelines for the experts. So if you read them, you can understand what the experts look for into your project application, and then that can help you as well, providing the correct information. Also, each section has a word limit, so keep an eye on your word count, but in any case, the platform will not allow you to exceed that limit. If you want to already, so the platform is not open yet today. It will open tomorrow, so you will have access to the online application form tomorrow. If you want to check the already the structure of the application form, the questions, the word limit, you can go on the website and download the Word version. Okay, here you can see essentially whenever you complete a question, a section, you have the option to either save your answer in case it is yet not finalized 100%. When it is finalized, instead, you need to mark the section as complete. The platform will not allow you in the end, it will not allow you to submit your application if you forgot to mark a section as complete, because we want you to be sure that you have checked everything in your application, that you didn't forget any information, and so any section, so that's actually to help you. And the platform will tell you in the end, if you forgot a field, it will tell you which field you forgot to mark as complete, so you can go back. And one thing often I'm asked, if I mark a field as complete, will I be able to edit it again? Yes, absolutely. Even if you mark a field as complete, you can always click there. You will see a link that says edit, and you can edit your question and then mark it as complete again. There are some sections that are specific to each partner. As I said, those sections cannot be assigned to anybody else to complete, okay? So each partner must take care of their own section. And in that case, the partner cannot, in that case, you can mark as complete. I reformulate a little bit. So there are, when you're not the main partner, and you're working on a section, you cannot mark a field as complete. You finalize the section, and then you click on a button that allows you to send this section back to the main partner for review. This is so then the main partner will check what you have written and will mark it as complete if everything is okay, because the main partner has the ultimate responsibility of what is written. But for the sections that are specific to each partner, that cannot be assigned to anybody else, each partner can mark it as complete. That's what I wanted to say. Then work packages. It is the main partner who adds the work packages. You can add as many work packages as there are in the project. You can also remove them, and you can assign the work packages to different partners. In the section that is specific to each partner, each partner will have to provide some information regarding, for example, their project costs for each work package, and for category of cost. I want to stress something about this. So every partner must insert their individual project cost. It cannot be done by the main partner. Now, to see to be able to insert your project cost, essentially the work package must be marked as complete. So this part, work packages, and this part, your project costs, are linked. So a work package must be marked as complete for all the other partners to be able to insert their individual project costs. And also, every time you edit a work package, the project cost must be updated. They must be marked again as complete. I hope that's clear. There is a section also where each partner can provide financial information up to 2 financial years. If you are a startup, you can provide estimates here. Now, some NFBs may not require you to provide this information. Check with your NFB what financial information is required from you. And also, especially here, you have the possibility to upload a financial annex, and you need to ask your NFB which documents must be in the financial annex, if this financial annex is required at national level. So go on the website of your NFBs, check all the rules, and if you have any questions on which financial information you need to provide, just ask them. There is a section where you need to upload your SME declaration if you're an SME, and your commitment and signature form for all partners. And one great thing about the platform is that it helps you check whether, based on the information that you have provided, your application is eligible, so whether it meets all the eligibility criteria. So there is a green button in the application overview. It says check eligibility. So once you click there, you will see if you're not complying with some criteria, if you're complying with all of them, and make sure before you apply, before you submit your application, to click on this button. Click on it regularly to make sure that your application is eligible, because even if it's not eligible, you will still be able to submit. And the problem is that if your project is ineligible, then you will be disqualified. So remember, also all the fields must be marked as complete for you to be able to submit. It is the main partner who submits the application. And very, very important, once the application has been submitted, you cannot edit it. You can only edit your contact details, your contact information, but nothing else can be edited in the application form. So really make sure that everything is correct before you apply, before you submit. Then the main partner, once the application is submitted, will receive an email that confirms the submission, and all the partners can anytime access the application form and see the status of the application from the dashboard. This is an important question that many applicants ask. What if my application has a mistake? What if I realize that my application has a mistake only after I have submitted? In that case, there are two cases. If we are still within the application deadline, you can submit a new application. You must first inform us that there was a mistake. You are going to submit a new application, so that we can remove the wrong application. That's an obligation. But you need to remember that you cannot use the previous application automatically to start a new one. I mean, you need to start a new application from scratch. So you will need to copy paste manually all the information from the previous one to the new one. That's important for you to be aware of. If in the second case, if you are beyond the deadline, the application deadline, there's nothing you can do. You cannot submit a new application, so unfortunately you cannot correct any mistakes. Also, another question is, can I submit a previous application? So an application that was from a previous call and that was not successful for some reasons. Yes, definitely you can submit an application that is from a previous call and that was not successful. Always remember, of course, that you need to start a new application from scratch. So the content will not be transferred automatically from your previous application to the new one. Now here is just the evaluation process, quite in a simple overview. So the application deadline is the 15th of September, 2 p.m. Brussels time. Once the application deadline is over, there will be a step which is called eligibility check. This is when we verify that your project complies with the 7 eligibility criteria. You will receive the results, so you will know whether your project is eligible or not and can move forward or not within 1 week of the application deadline. Then all the eligible projects, they undergo the legal and financial viability check and a remote evaluation. This is when they will be evaluated by 3 independent experts. And you will know whether your project passed this stage by late October 2022. Then, for the project that passed that stage, they undergo an ethics review and a scientific and an evaluation that is performed by the independent evaluation panel. So the independent evaluation panel is a panel of technical experts. They will assess your application and compare the quality of each application to the others. And while the ethics review is performed by a panel of experts whose responsibility is to check whether your project whether there may be some ethical issues arising from your project, and if there are some requirements that you need to fulfill as precondition for your project to be launched, or then during the lifetime of the project, if there are some requirements that you need to fulfill. The results of this stage, you will receive them by early December. Every time you receive an email, and you can check the platform, and there you will see the details of the results as well. And then finally, for the projects that pass that step, they will know whether they're funded or not. So you will receive the funding results by the first half of December 2022. So the process is quite fast. That's a nice thing about Eurostars. And also remember that at each step of the process, whenever you receive the results, if you believe, so let's say if you have received a negative results and you believe that that is due to a procedural mistake, you can always send a redress request. Redress requests must be sent by the main partners. They must be sent within 15 days from when you receive the results, and by registered mail. There are some guidelines on the Eureka's website that are specifically about redress requests. One thing I want to ask you is, whenever you plan to send a redress request, always send us an email to inform us, because remember, you have 15 days to send a redress request. It can be quite short. So if you send us an email and we are informed, that can speed up the procedure. It will be appreciated and will also be good for you. Last thing, just here you have the contacts, how you can reach us. You can reach the Eureka Secretariat by writing an email to applications@eurostars-eureka.eu anytime for any questions. You can also contact your national project coordinators, especially for matters related to national funding rules, legal and financial viability check, what financial information you need to provide. And you have a contact form on Eureka's website that you can use to reach out to them. And finally, here you have a link to the guidelines that you can find on the website. So it's quite late. I'm very sorry I've taken some more minutes. I will just have a 5 minutes break, and then I will be back to answer your questions. Remember, you can start typing your questions in the questions tab. Use the questions tab. So I'll be back very, very soon. Okay, I am back again. We are back again. We have received a few questions. First of all, we have received a question about Germany, whether it still makes sense for German organizations to participate in a project. Well, definitely makes sense, but you need to be aware that there's no Eurostars funding available, so you can participate, but you will need to self-fund all your project costs. And also this concerns this specific call, so this third call of Eurostars, but the situation may change in the next calls. So keep checking our websites regularly for any updates regarding funding for German participants for in the next calls. We will communicate this in the future before the next call. Also, we have received a question on call 4 if there are already dates for the call 4, okay, not this call but call 4. That call will open in January, and it will close, so the application deadline will be in March 2023. So check the websites again every time. I mean, when it is regularly updated, the website. So check there for any information about future calls. We had a question if a university can be the main partner. No, remember that only SMEs can be main partners in a project. Then we have received a question that asks whether there can be two partners from the same country in the same project. Absolutely, yes. There can be two partners that are from the same country. Of course, check eligibility criteria regarding the budget rules, the 70% threshold. I mean, you need to keep in mind this eligibility criterion that states that the combined budget of the partners from the same country cannot exceed 70% of the total project budget. And also check if there are any funding threshold at national level. So check your national funding rules. There were several questions about funding rates. What is the funding rate? So if you're talking about specific specific funding rules, then that is something that you need to check with your national funding body. As I explained, each country sets its own funding rules. So for funding thresholds and funding rates, what type of organizations can be funded, what type of project activities are funded, you need to check your national funding rules. If you are referring instead to the success rate, which is a different thing, which is how many applications on average are funded at every call, that's actually something great about Eurostars is that the success rate is quite high compared to similar funding programs, because it is around 25-26%. So this means that at each call, out of all the applications that we receive, 25-26% are funded in the end. Startup, there are people who ask whether startup can participate and how is their financial capacity assessed. Definitely, startup can participate in a Eurostars project. You're actually encouraged. You need to be aware that there are different requirements depending on your country on how your financial capacity is assessed. So you need to check funding rules. A question, is it okay if there are two linked SMEs in the consortium and then one separate partner? Would that meet the second eligibility criterion? So if there are two partners that are linked, then if you have another partner that is a separate legal entity from the first two, it meets the second eligibility criterion. There is a question also about national applications. Do we have to submit also a national application besides the international one, besides the one through the Eureka project management platform? For some countries, yes. For some countries, be very careful. There is also a requirement to submit an application at national level, and there is a deadline for that. So check the websites of your national funding bodies. Okay. So how the funding is distributed between consortium members? Should we all finance everything up front and then get reimbursed, or funding is given before the project begins? So this is essentially about funding schemes. So this depends on national rules, national procedures. So sometimes, depending on the country, you may be given funding up already before you start the project activities. Sometimes you will be reimbursed. So it really depends on national rules. Then let's see. For companies with a legal presence in many countries, can they choose which local entity is applying? The rule is apply from the country where you are going to perform your project activities. So that's the general rule. So you are a legal entity in that country. You're going to perform your activities there. Apply from that country. So could you please tell us how project evaluation is conducted? Are national funding bodies involved, or the EU evaluates them? So essentially, the evaluation process is centralized in Eurostars, which means that it is the Eureka Secretariat who is responsible for performing, for coordinating the evaluation process. We have independent experts commissioned by the Secretariat who evaluate your applications. The national funding bodies do not evaluate your applications. What they do is performing the legal and financial viability check. That, yes, that is part of the an integral part of the evaluation process. Will this presentation be available for download? Yes, we will publish on the website also the recording of this webinar will be published. Can there be more than one SME not linked in project? Absolutely, yes. There can be more than one SMEs. Thank you for the explanation. Could you please elaborate more on the focus on civil applications? By civil application, so in Eurostars, the seventh eligibility criterion states that your project must have an exclusively civilian purpose. So what this simply means is that you must develop an innovation that for the purpose, so the purpose of the project is to use it for a civilian use, for a civilian application. Then in the project, there can be a military partner, and you can also develop a dual use technology. So what really matters is that your purpose, the purpose of your project, is civilian. Yes, where can we find the contact information of the national funding bodies? So on the website of Eureka, there are all the countries, the list of all the countries, and there you can see the name of the national funding body, and there is a link to their website. You can either contact them through a contact form that is on the website, or if you go on their website, you may find directly their email address, or phone numbers. So can you please tell us how to access the Word version? It's simply on the website, on the Eureka's website. If you are now looking at my slides, let me check. So here you have this link to the guidelines. You will find the list of all the guidelines, and then there is also the Word version of the application form. There was also a question regarding TRLs. Remember, so this is an indication, Eurostars indicatively, take it as an indication that Eurostars funds projects that are usually in between a TRL 3-4 and 6, but it can be 7 in some cases. It depends also on what the countries, what type of projects activities the countries fund. But the maximum is really 7, TRL 7. There can be countries that fund some activities in that TRL, or countries that stop at TRL 6. Yeah, I mean, we fund close to market research, so essentially that's yeah, that's it. Let's see if there is a last question. Is Call 3 open for SMEs and other organizations from Bulgaria? Yes, absolutely. And just check the funding rules in Bulgaria to see if funding is available, what type of organizations can be funded, and funding rates. So here there is a question. The 70% of costs in a participating country is estimated on projects' overall cost or only on the sum of the budgets from partners that can be eligible to receive funding. So you need to consider the entire project costs. So when you calculate, when you verify whether the criterion that states that the budget of each single participant or of a single country cannot exceed 70%, you need to refer to the total project budget. And this, by the way, includes both the costs that will be covered by Eurostars funding and the costs that you yourself will finance. Okay, so by total project budget, we really mean all. Okay, I think we are beyond the time planned for this webinar, so I really want to thank you all for being here, for attending, and for all your questions. If you have any more questions, always feel free to contact us and we will be there to help you. And good luck for your application. Have a nice day.